Welcome to 16 Weeks of Sats and this special bonus video all about BODMAS, or you may know it as BIDMAS. Now, I've produced this video because I've had quite a few comments of people asking me to cover it from some of the shorts videos as well. So I thought I'd produce this just to help you out. Now, my biggest tip with BODMAS to start with is probably not to worry about it too much. It's important to understand, but normally within the arithmetic paper, there's either no questions about BODMAS or one. Okay, so even if you weren't super confident with BODMAS, you're probably only going to lose 1 mark or gain 1 mark. And normally the questions are very, very, very simple. Very simple, okay? So the examples that I'm going to give you today from my own examples are much more challenging. So if you can access the content that I'm delivering, the SATs questions will be dead straightforward. So BODMAS simply is an acronym, okay? So it's a series of letters that represent other words, okay? So B, brackets, O, orders, which is squared numbers and cube numbers, division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction, okay? And that order, okay, of brackets first, orders, and so on, helps us to know which operation we need to do first, second, third, fourth, and so on. So I'll take you through these questions very simply, all right? But ultimately, as I've said, there are normally very few of these questions for you to answer, so don't worry about them too much, okay? So BODMAS, very, very straightforward. I'm going to take you through the strategy and make it very clear how you tackle these problems. So it's very straightforward. My final request just before we get stuck into the content is please subscribe. There's normally a little red icon in the bottom corners. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel. It helps me make more content and just get the videos out to a wider audience as well. So thank you if you've already subscribed, but if not, please make sure you do, just as a little thank you for me. But as regards to BODMAS or BIDMAS or PEDMAS, however you know it, ultimately, let's get stuck into the content and see how we solve these really simple questions. So, as we said, one of the first things to sort of say with BODMAS or BIDMAS is not to worry. I would suggest not to worry about it too much, because in your SATs papers, if you scan through the last 5 years worth of papers, there isn't a BODMAS question in every paper. And if there is, there's usually only one. So it is worth knowing, because obviously it may come up in your SATs. But again, it's not like being able to convert units in some of the previous videos we covered, where there's definitely going to be, 5 or 6 marks guaranteed available. Long division, there's definitely going to be, so many marks available. So with BODMAS, it's important to know. So we'll just run through this. So BODMAS, as I said, BODMAS is all about the order of operations. So when we have a question, and I'll show you some examples shortly, when you have a question with different operations, and when we're talking about operations, we're talking about add, subtract, divide, multiply, when we have brackets, etc., and so on. So it's all about the order in which we do it. So which part of the question do we do first? Which part of the question do we do next, and so on. So if we just look at what each letter stands for, because BODMAS is just an acronym, which means, so the first part is we've got brackets. So very simple. And they are going to look a little bit like this. So we know what brackets look like. They look the same in maths as they do in English. Then we've got orders, which is sometimes known as indices. That's why there's a little I there, which are basically numbers that have, so it could be 2 squared or 4 cubed. So if I just highlight the important part here, that is this part here. So it's spotting the fact that it's a squared or a cubed number. Okay, so spotting that. Next we have division, very straightforward, and we should be very familiar with. We've got multiplication. We've got addition and subtraction. Now, one thing to note with these, just write these out. It's not the neatest, but it's fine. So this is the order in which we would carry out operations, okay? So if we've got a question that has brackets in, we would do that part first. If it didn't have brackets or orders, but it had some division, we would do the division bit first. So it's really just a little trick to help us remember, well, which bit do I do first? So first is obviously brackets, and then we would have orders. So they're two separate entities. Now, when it comes to division and multiplication, we just need to be aware that these are valued equally. Okay, so if I sort of highlight them off in a blue, let's say, that division and multiplication are valued equally. So if you get a question that has division and multiplication in, you would do them in the order that they appear in the question. All right? Just because division comes in the acronym first doesn't mean that division is more important or comes before multiplication. And the same with addition and subtraction. If we have a question that has addition and subtraction in it, addition and subtraction are valued equally, so we would do them in the same order that the question shows. Okay, so if subtraction came first in the question and then addition, you would do it in that order. Okay, you wouldn't do addition, you wouldn't just switch around and do addition first. So that's the only little subtlety that we need to know, is that division and multiplication are essentially equal. If we could write them next to each other, i.e. writing division here and multiplication here, that would probably be preferable, and then addition and subtraction. So it's seen like they're exactly the same. Okay, so we're going to have a look at some questions, so that'll bring BODMAS to life a little bit more and make you see how straightforward BODMAS actually is. Now, I'm just going to run through this first question very simply, okay? So we can see we've got the question, and the big thing is to get into the habit of basically rewriting the question. So we can see we have this part here. So we've got 15 take away, open brackets, 2 plus 7. So it's a little bit like, right, well, what do we do first here? So again, when we see brackets or we see more than one operation like we do over here, we know that it's a BODMAS question or BIDMAS, and we just need to apply the acronym of BODMAS or BIDMAS, whichever one you prefer. And basically we look at it and go, right, are there brackets? Okay. And with each part of the problem, we're basically trying to solve part of the problem as we go. So we might have to solve the problem 3 or 4 times, i.e. reduce it. So we're going to do this part first and basically write what this means. So we're looking at 50. So we need to know, we do this bit first. So 2 add 7 is 9. So we would rewrite the question. So I would rewrite the question below as, let's just take that away, get a pen, as 15 take away 9. Okay, very, very simple. 15 take away 9 is 6. Okay, so once we get to this situation where we just have one operation here, and that's why BODMAS is called the order of operations. So these are our operations. Okay, add, divide, multiply, add, subtract. These are the operations. So it's the order in which we do those operations. So the brackets tell us that we do 2 plus 7 first. So we rewrite the question. Now once we're left with one operation, we're basically in a position to answer the question. And that is obviously 6, isn't it? Okay. And that would be it. We've got a lot of space left down here. So even if I just wrote another one out and we said, right, what is 20, add 4, take away 3, minus 1, just so there's something extra in here. So again, if we looked at this problem first, what we would look at is go, right, well, we need to do this part first. Okay, brackets, orders. So we've got addition and subtraction, but we've got to do the brackets first. So we would rewrite the question below. So it would be 20 plus 4 take away 2, because 3 take away 1 is 2. Now I would apply BODMAS again. Do I have brackets? Do I have orders? No. Do I have division and multiplication? No. But I've got an addition and subtraction. And remember, because we do addition and subtraction in the order that they appear, we need to do this part first. We need to do the 20 add 4. Okay, so 20 add 4 is 24. So I would rewrite that again. So 24 take away 2. Now I'm left with one operation. It's just 24 take away 2. And that's obviously 22. Very, very easy. So if we're not in a rush to get these problems done or solved, and we take our time to rewrite the question, we will get to the answer very quickly. Let's take a look at this one. We've got 3 plus 20 divided by 4 times 3. Okay, so again, we've got no brackets, we've got no orders, but we do have division and multiplication. Okay, and the key to remember is that we do division and multiplication in the order that they appear. So as the sentence runs from left to right, division appears first. So we need to do 20 divided by 4 first. which is 5. So that now becomes 3. Add 5 times 3. And again, we would start again. No brackets. We know there's no brackets, but basically we've got an addition and a multiplication. Multiplication comes first in BODMAS, so we would now do 5 times 3. That is 15. So that part of the question now becomes 15. So we've got 3, add 15. Now we only have one operation left. We can just add these together, and the answer is 18. So as you can see, very, very simple. And if we just take our time, and it doesn't take much time, to just reduce the question each time and solve the correct part, and the new number that it creates, or the new value that it creates, is written in the problem below. It's very straightforward, and we don't get ourselves into a jumble. So here's another two to talk through. Again, we've got division, we've got addition, we've got brackets, and a multiplication. So again, as I look at this problem, the first thing I'm thinking is, right, what's the first step, and can I rewrite the question? So the first step is obviously the brackets. So 9 times 2 is 18. So I'm just rewriting the problem. I'll do it a little bit further down. So we've got 18 divided by 9, add 9. We're not trying to solve all the different parts at once and just run through it to get to an answer. Now I can reset myself. Which part comes first? Well, division is obviously before addition, so I'm going to do this part of the problem first. So 18 divided by 9 is 2. Now rewrite the problem. 2 add 9. At that point, we've only got one operation left. 2 add 9, very simple, is 11. Okay, so again, very simple, very calm, very straightforward. Now, here's another question. Now, we've pretty much got a bit of everything here. We've got a multiplication, we've got brackets, and this part of the brackets is at the back end of the question. We've got an addition, a subtract, and orders. But again, we don't need to get too worried about it. We just need to follow the system. BODMAS, we know brackets is first. So I'm going to do this part of the question first, which 5 times 4 is 20. So I'm going to rewrite the problem with 20 as my new value there. So I've got 3 squared, take away 7, add 20. Now again, no brackets, but I do have some orders, so I need to work out what this is first. So 3 squared is 3 times 3, so that's actually 9. So rewrite the question, 9, take away 7, add 20. Fantastic. And now we're in a position where we've got subtraction and addition. Now again, in BODMAS, it goes addition, subtraction. But remember, if I just write it out, and we go, right, okay, BODMAS. If you remember, we said that addition and subtraction and multiplication and division are equal to each other. So we just do them in the order that they appear. So because we're left with subtraction and addition, because they're equal, we just do them in the order they appear. So the first thing that we would do is, as the problem runs from left to right, 9 times 7 is first. Sorry, 9 take away 7 is first. So we would do that first. So that 9 take away 7 becomes 2. Very straightforward. Add 20. And that leaves us where we've got just 22 add 20. So it's very simple, 22. So again, by just rewriting the question with each step reduced down into its new value, we get to the solution very quickly. And these are the final examples just before we go into some stats questions. So again, as we look at the problem over here, the first thing that jumps out is we've got multiple operations. So we know it's BODMAS. Okay, what do we do first? Well, there's no brackets, but I can see orders. So I'm going to need to do 4 squared first. So I need to rewrite the problem. So that's 30. Take away 4 times 4 is 16. Add 3. And again, we're left in this position where we've got subtraction and addition. And remember, addition and subtraction are equal, so we just do them in the order that they appear in the problem. So 30 take away 16 comes first. So I know that that is 14. And add 3. Solve that part. We're left with one operation. Very, very simple. 17. Okay, so really calmly, really efficiently, we've moved through the problem and solved it very quickly. Okay, and really in the BODMAS questions, as you'll see in the SATs examples, the maths that you're actually doing isn't complicated. It's very simple numbers, very simple additions and subtractions. So let's take a little bit of a look at the next one. Just notice a slight little problem with this one. So I'm just going to change that up. So we've got 7, add 7 divided by 2. Okay, so we're now in a position to do this. So again, if we just look at the problem, very simply, first of all, just rub that out. First of all, we can see we've got brackets, so we're going to need to solve that part first. So we know 7 add 7 is 14. So 20 take away 14 divided by 2. Now again, we know if we think about BODMAS, and you can always write this out in a question to help you. As we go down BODMAS, here we're left with, we've got subtraction and division. If you weren't sure, if we went down BODMAS, you can see that division comes before subtraction. So we need to do this part first, the 14 divided by 2. 14 divided by 2 is 7. So we rewrite the problem. 20 take away 7. Very simple. Now we're left with one operation. We can solve that problem, which is going to be 13. So again, super simple, very straightforward to get to the answer, and there's nothing that you should really be worrying about when it comes to BODMAS. So let's take a look at this quick stats question. My first tip would be to just write the question on the actual grid, and I'm going to write it a little bit larger than the squares. I know that sort of annoys some people, but it's just so it's a bit more visible. So we've got 2 add 3 cubed. Okay, so 3 times, so the first part is we've got the orders that we're going to need to do first. Okay, so which is 3 cubed, which is important to spot, which is 3 times 3, which is 9, times 3, which is 27. So we're going to write the question out again, which is 2 add 27. And that's it. It's so simple. We're going to add 2 add 27, which is 29. So we need to make sure that that's written in this box here. And that would get you the mark. So simple, so easy. It's just making sure that you do things in the right order. Again, this question is question 35, if you can see here, which is really late on in the test, and it should be an easy mark. Again, we can see that we've got 2 operations, addition and division. We should know that we're doing division first. So really, again, I would write the question out first. 6 add 4 divided by 2. So we know that we're going to do this part first, which is 4 divided by 2. Rewrite the problem. 6 add 2. Because 4 divided by 2 is 2, and that leaves us with 6 add 2, which is 8. So we need to make sure that we write that in there. And basically what the SATs question here, the way to get it wrong is to do 6 add 4, which equals 10, and then divide that by 2, which equals 5. So the incorrect answer that people would write in here is 5 by just going through that in the wrong order, okay? But it's basically, this test question, excuse me, is basically testing whether you understand BODMAS and you know to do this part first rather than this part, okay? So it's a little bit sneaky, but that's just maths, okay? We need to know the order of operations and know that this question is 8 and not 5. So with this question, we've got division, we've got the brackets, and we've got a subtraction. So again, we can tell straight away that it's a BODMAS question. As I've always said, just get into the habit of just quickly rewriting the question, just so that we're in a position to reduce the problem. Okay, so again, brackets is going to be done first. So it's 30 take away 24. So again, that's 6, isn't it? So essentially this is 60 divided by 6, which is 10. Okay, very, very simple. That's going to go in there. And the answer is 10. So again, very simple, very straightforward. And the best thing to do with BODMAS is to just take a nice and calm approach and just be prepared to go through the steps. By rewriting the problem, as you can see here, we've just rewritten the problem. That took 3 seconds. I've then solved this part and rewrote that here in the new number problem, not a number sentence, and that leaves me with 60 divided by 6. Very simple. That's 10. got the mark, and I can move on. So BODMAS is really simple to solve and should be easy marks for you to pick up in your SATs papers. And finally, as ever, we've got some questions for you to have a go at. Again, they become progressively more difficult as we come down. And then over here, we've got some brackets and indices for you to have a go at. But very simple. Again, get a bit of squared paper or some plain paper. And the key thing is just not to try and just solve it in your head here, just automatically. You know, pride, your own pride is, oh, well, I just know this answer. Get into the habit of just rewriting the question and then solve each part as you go, and just rewrite the question again with the new part of the number below, and you will get the answer very, very quickly. Normally, you'll have it within 2 or 3 steps below. All of the problems will normally be solved in that way. And as you can see here, all of these questions are way harder or way more complex than the 3 SATs examples that I could find. So the SATs examples are really nothing to worry about. If you can do these questions here, you're going to be more than fine in your SATs questions if BODMAS does crop up. And if it does crop up, the likelihood is you're only going to get 1 question.
Well, BODMAS, PEDMAS, BIDMAS, however we know it, that's it solved. And like I said just in those final questions before, the questions that I've left you to have a go at are far more challenging than anything that you will likely encounter in the SATs papers. So if you're managing the questions that I've left you at the end, you're definitely going to be more than capable of answering anything that the SATs questions offer up to you. As you've seen in the SATs examples, they're very, very simple. There's nothing too complicated. And normally it's just testing your concentration, because you know BODMAS, it normally comes along later in the test, and it's just, can you apply that level of concentration to the question and not overthink it? I think a lot of times children or pupils, students get those questions wrong because they maybe just rush into it. Like you say with some of the examples, when we have 6 add 4 times 3, we need to do the times 3 bit first, not the 6 add 4. Okay, so you know that, and that's all BODMAS is about really. The most of the errors with BODMAS come from just rushing the question. When we see more than one operation, just take a breath. BODMAS, which part of the question do I do first? And then make sure you rewrite the question as you go along and guarantee yourself the marks. Okay, very simple, very straightforward, and ultimately that is BODMAS. So thanks for watching the video. I hope you feel a bit more confident about BODMAS. Please subscribe. I know I keep saying it, please subscribe to the channel. It's going to help me get these videos out to more pupils, more teachers, more schools, and ultimately help more children smash their SATs in a few weeks' time.